Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our weekly Genius Insight training. The training's always free and it's welcome to everybody who is part of our Genius Insight community. It's a great pleasure to be with you today, and I welcome you to ask all of your questions through the question box or the chat function here, and I'd be happy to answer them. We've had a recent update, and so I want to make you aware that you should all be on 1.9.7. In fact, you've probably received a message that says, hey, this is a mandatory update, so please make sure at this time you have updated to 1.9.7. There are some exciting updates in there, including just the fact that Ryan has now put everything in alphabetical order. So all of your clients are now in alphabetical order, and gosh golly, a lot easier to find everything this way. So let's just jump in here with a fictitious client, and just remember that when you're recording the voice, you simply press on the microphone here, and you can go ahead and you could say anything you like. You could say A-E-I-O-U, you can express a gratitude, you can talk about anything that you want to while this 15-second recording is being done. It is one of the most precise testing algorithms and proprietary methods out there in the industry today. And in fact, when you hit the next button at the bottom right, it simply will now begin to analyze it, but several different times. It literally listens to the recording, then it listens to it again, then it listens to it again, until it's complete. So it gets a really nice analysis, a very crisp and precise analysis of that voice. We then hit continue. We then can upload a photo, or we can take a live photo. Once that's done, we can begin the analysis below. Again, it's testing all of the different frequencies of that person based on their picture. There is a lot of energy in a picture, a lot of information in a picture. Remember, the Native Americans did not want people to take their picture because they knew you're carrying sort of an energetic imprint of that person. So remember, there's a lot of information in the picture. We're simply going to hit skip here. Now remember that the new versions have the ability to skip the voice or skip the picture, so you can do one or the other. You could do both, or you could skip both. So we'll skip that there. A personalized energetic signature can be an affirmation or a word. I am filled with perfect vitality. So you can do a one word, or you can do several words. And when you do this and you hit OK, that frequency is now going to play every time that you play a frequency. That is also going to play in the background. And what it does, just like what bioresonant frequencies do, it's going to be entrained into that person's energy field. So that's what energy medicine is all about. We can now hit begin analysis. And we get an overview of what's going on in mind, body, and energy field, which is the biofield. The libraries are customized libraries that have been created by myself or other people, and we'll get to talking about that. So this gives us an idea of what we might want to look at today, whether it be the mind or the body. These numbers are all over 600, so they're all significant. And it simply means that this energy is interesting to us. It's appealing to the energy field. We're drawn to these. So it might be analyzing something in the mind, or it might be analyzing something in the body. Or we can sort of get right to the whole overview by tapping on System Overview. We go to General Overview, and then we would just hit Begin Analysis. And then we would get all of that information. We would see rage, wow, for our fictitious client. Maybe that's our collective energy. So from top to bottom, we have all of the important things to know about. So if this was a client, this is just our AAA, it could be picking up all of our energy, or it who knows, what could be just very random. is it's saying that this is the most important emotion, and so we might balance that actually for 1 minute up in the quick zap. So we could open up the tray, we could pull this little ball all the way down to 1 minute by pulling it to the left, and we could balance that for 1 minute. Then we would remove it from the tray by either using the clear all button here or tapping the X. So either one. Let's hit clear all. And then we could also put this bladder meridian down here, and we could then put the bladder meridian up here and balance again. I don't know why it says 2 minutes. I'm so sorry. It should say 1 minute. And then balancing for 1 minute. All right. And then we would remove it again, and we would do the same thing for sulfites, and we would go down maybe 10, even 20 frequencies if we wanted to. We really only need to do the 1 minute balancing maybe for the top 3. Then we would go all the way down to the bottom, and we do the same thing. So it's always interesting to note the items, and let's look at the cutoff here. Things go from green to blue right at a little bit too far, right at 150. So right when you're below, I believe below 150 at 149, then we're starting to see things that are in blue. Now it's good to look at all of these things. If you want to learn about yourself, you want to learn about your client, it's good to just sort of peek at all of these. I mean, look how many times gallbladder repeats itself. Look how many times bladder repeats itself. Look at liver over and over again. And so you could bring all of these potentially down into your main hold tray, but it may just be of interest because this is picking up a lot of information because it's scanning the whole matrix. So you can go all the way down, all the way down. It's picking up all of this information, and you can look at it because it's all below 150. It's all in blue. Blue is sort of chronic, deficient, stagnant. All of those things sort of describe that type of energy. Go down way to the bottom here, and we've got the zeros, of course, the most significance. And of course, you could start at the bottom and work your way up. That would be the most logical thing to do. And these items go down in the main hold tray, and then you do your 1 minute balancing up in the quick zap, starting with the lowest item, moving up in priority, because those lowest items are the most important. The highest items are also the most important. So a 0 is very important. A 777 is important. Okay, first of all, I want to just welcome a lot of people. We have a great crowd here today. And Elise, thank you so much for joining us. Brigitte, welcome. Very, very welcome. Zale, welcome. Pam from Florida, welcome to you. And Suzanne, warm welcome, joining us here. Suzanne D and Suzanne B. Tina, welcome. Tina T, welcome. So good to have you. Sarita's here. Excellent. Very good. Thanks, you guys, for joining. I appreciate it. Okay, so Ryan says, please show people how to turn the animation off. So Ryan, you have not told me how to turn the animation off, so I can either unmute you or you can chat it to me, but actually nobody has personally told me how to turn that animation off. If you would do that, I would absolutely love it. That's a feature that people would definitely like to see, to be able to turn the animation off. Annette says, are the voice and photo used by the genius 50-50, or is one more important than the other? Annette, that's a great question. Thank you. What Ryan has put into the program is a huge focus on the voice. So the voice is significantly more important to capture than the picture. You're getting a lot of information that's being tested for precision, that's really being looked at in a new and different way. And so the voice is more important to get than the picture. Now, whatever information that you get, you will notice that as in prior sort of iterations of the algorithms are pretty amazing, that even if you don't have a picture or a voice, you can still get some information. But the more information that you have from that person, strengthening that connection, it's pretty awesome. You get a lot of really great information. Can we make custom panels in the Genius? Yes, we can. You can. And we can go over that today. Can you go over to how to use the categories? Okay. So happy I can now tap General Overview to reverse the list. Okay. So I don't know about any of these new and different functions, but good to know about them. So Annette's telling me, I love how she's telling me, she's not saying, guess what, you can do this. She's sort of sneaking a little comment to me. And so I guess that we do have the switch button now. So kudos to Ryan. I guess somebody's been working the whole weekend and last week pretty much overtime. So it doesn't go right up to the top, or maybe I'm doing this wrong, so I'm switching it wrong. Let me see what happens when I switch it again. So when we're here, we're sort of almost down to the bottom. It sort of switches me almost down to the bottom, which is cool. So then I can sort of use this to go all the way down to the bottom. And then when it switches here, it doesn't quite go all the way up to the top, but it switches the, I didn't expect this actually to work this way. So it has actually switched the order, which is interesting. So now everything is down on the bottom, but it is in order. And if we switch it again, it is actually now in place. So everything down exactly at the bottom is there. Everything is now down all the way at the bottom there as well. Wow, I didn't know about the General Overview scan. I love it. And just to show you that again, Elise, thank you for mentioning that. If you simply tap on System Overview, it takes you to General Overview. And as I said, Ryan has really nicely implemented that switch. That looks really great. In the General Overview, is the quick zap only for one frequency at a time? No, not at all. That's just my take on it. I like doing that quick zap focusing on one frequency. However, you could put 3 frequencies in there, or you could put a whole kit and caboodle in there. You could put many frequencies in there, and absolutely. So you can open up that quick zap. It really is going to depend on your methodology for balancing. What's your style of balancing? What's your take on balancing? What is it that really helps you to balance? And so that's what you are going to want to. It looks like there's still a bit of a misspelling in basil there with the M on the end. So there we go. And so we could put 4 in there and balance. So Sharon, good question. Thank you so much. Does this huge focus on, Ryan, why are you asking me this question? Does this huge focus on voice affect running PET scans? And I thought Ryan was saying PET scans like a PET, like a cancer scan. But yeah, no, I don't think it does. And I think Ryan's probably, asking this in a sort of a clever way, is that no, we see very accurate responses with the animals. Of course, you can speak as a surrogate for your animal, and you guys, that really does work. You simply state when you're recording your voice, it is my intention to speak as a surrogate for my dog Max. And that really does work quite well. So you can use yourself as a surrogate. Surrogates have been used in energetic testing and kinesiology for a long time for people who cannot move on their own, or infants, or people who are incapacitated in some way. So it can work really, really well. Okay, Ryan says not him. It's coming through as you. It's so weird. Somebody else must have logged on with your link or something, Ryan. Okay, please go to show how to go from top to bottom. So Patricia, what you do is you go to General Overview. You simply tap at the top. Now you see the bottom. Now you see the top. Now you see the bottom. Now you see the top. So big kudos again to Ryan. That's an awesome feature to have. Is there a suggestion for how long to run the Neuro Remedy when you use it? Okay, Dolores, I love your juicy, delicious questions. And Ryan, this is the piece that I'm talking about, that it's like a ghost that lives in the machine. It's coming up. This is the same: parasites in heart, food addiction, boron, vitamin D, epinephrine, sort of that ghost that keeps coming through from a past test. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. We can't figure out what it is, but Ryan, just so you see that there, a bit of an oddity. So, but so many things have gone through, developmental, so many things have gone through new improvements and upgrades. So again, there's a lot that's being refined, and is really, really great that we're seeing today. To answer Dolores's question, we'd like to actually go up to the nav bar up here and go to the Neuro Remedy. So if you're on your own iPad, you may want to do this. Just go ahead and go to Neuro Remedy. And you'll see I've actually created a few: cellular healing, immune system healing, DNA healing, a healing for a particular person, where I actually created, this is somebody who asked me to work on their mother in India, and I actually created a neuro remedy just for her, speaking all of her affirmations. So what you can do is, after you create a neuro remedy, you can test to see which one you're resonating with the most. And these are all affirmations that I've created. So, to just give you a taste of that, in order to create a neuro remedy, what you do is you hit the plus button. The plus button will give you the opportunity to name a neuro remedy. I'll talk what it is. Neuro remedy is an interesting, it might have been neuro, I'm not sure. I always think about neuro being nervous system, but I think it has to do with the sound aspect of it. We certainly could get clarification from Ryan. So let me call this endocrine healing. Now, this isn't the only use. You could play a song. You could sing into this. You could play didgeridoo. You could do drumming. You could do any kind of sacred mantra that of a spiritual sect that you're associated with, okay? You could play something from YouTube. All of those things are fair game. We're taking a sound frequency and we're converting it into a therapeutic bioresonance frequency that you can then entrain deeply into your system. It has different qualities, especially with the energy encoded process that is in here, that secret sauce that is only in this biofeedback app. You're not going to find it anywhere else. It is really something very, very special. So we're going to take that sound and turn it into those deep frequencies that work on the subconscious. That's what we're doing with the neuro remedy. Now, the original question was, how long should you play it for? We'll get to that. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit the bottom left button where it says record. And you can speak your own affirmation. This could be like, my endocrine system is functioning perfectly. All of the glands in my body are now functioning in harmony. They receive all the correct signals at all the right time and know exactly how much hormone to send out to the receptors of my body. And my body is experiencing endocrinological peace and wellness and vitality and perfection in every way. So I then save it, so then I have all of these all together, and again it'll ask me to now retest for which one is the most powerful for my for me today, which one am I most drawn to. So it says immune system healing, or I could just do the endocrine healing as well. It's pretty high. So if I play this endocrine healing, and it does sort of, I did want to ask Ryan about this, in particular has a certain type of just a beeping or sort of a heartbeat sort of a thing to it that is very similar for each neuro remedy, and I don't know if there's a meaning to that, but it is quite powerful. How long you play is completely up to you. I tend to do these longer, and because it's almost like a mantra or an affirmation, Dolores. And so I really feel that actually a long time for these, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or even 30 minutes, is the most powerful way to go with these. So I would say longer than shorter, because we're really trying to repeat and repeat and repeat that sound frequency to entrain it into the energy field. Good question. I love, Dolores always brings a serious awesomeness with questions. What key are you hitting in the general switch? I think that you guys all saw that several times. And somehow Ryan, Mary Lee is signed in as Ryan. I don't know how that happened. It literally says Ryan's name where you're signed in, Mary Lee. I don't know how you got that special link. All right, who knows? Is the library that needs to be chosen only the first before the scan? Can the libraries be added after scanning? And please show how. Okay, so I mean, Ryan's here today, which is great, and I think we've sort of been tossing around that there is a bit of a confusion about this whole library thing and how to add it, and that if it may have already been done in this last update, I don't know. We really would prefer it if all libraries could automatically be added to all clients as a default. So I believe he's thinking about that, and we may be able to do that. certainly that was similar to the infinity. That was sort of something, that method seems to be a lot less complicated. So the idea is when you have categories, you need to attach them to a particular client. So when you have a new client, you'll want to go to this screen and you'll want to select the frequencies that you want. So here, if I scroll through and I think, well, I'd like some biofilms and biofilm solutions, let's just do those. Let's see. So I think it doesn't add them here because I think I've actually added them previously, but it should say 2 of 2 libraries. And let's go back now and let's go all the way to libraries and let's see what happens now. So let's begin the analysis. It does go in and it actually goes to all of them. And we do have individual categories. It's now organized them. But I don't see, you know what, Ryan, it has not actually added all of the other ones. I don't, oh, there, so it took a while to go through them. Okay, there we go. It went through them. But the problem now is that they're listed in numerical order, which is nice because it tells us which one. But if we have a lot of them, Ryan, like it's really hard to find them. So now I have to go through, fish through all of these, and where is biofilm? So there's hundreds of them, so finding biofilm is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. So that's sort of a problem. Then the idea is that you pick one like Lyme, and then you begin the analysis, and then it does the analysis of that particular panel. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to do. Going back to your original question here, Eli says, are the libraries need to be chosen before the first scan? Yeah, they do need to be attached to the client usually before you start scanning, or I have found that they don't actually pop on in that particular session. So you want to add them before. Can a library be added after scanning? No, you should do it before, and I showed how. But yeah, there's still some you know, issues in your tissues kind of a thing. There's still some issues with the way that this is being run. So I know that most of the feedback I've gotten is that can we just attach everything in our custom libraries to every client and then have a way to pick the ones that we want for that day. Ryan, that really would be awesome. It would be better, and it was the way it was done on the other biofeedback app. That was something that actually did work pretty well. All right. So Patricia says, what's the best way to go out of the program to work on another person? It's this, just to basically hit the back button. Warning, you'll lose your results if you go to the client records page. And then I do agree it's a bit of different here because you have to now pull up that client again. But now we have them in alphabetical order, so it does make it a bit easier to do that because you can find everybody a lot faster. All right, so we're stuck here, unfortunately. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so let's begin that analysis. Can you delete past results? I believe that you can. Let's go back to some of the results that we have for that AAA client. View the past results. I believe it's just a, Ryan, you're going to have to help me on this. I thought it was just a pull to the left. So, Ryan, can you just type to me in the chat box, how do we actually delete past results? I thought this was just a pull it to the left and delete. It doesn't look like it is. So I don't know how to answer that yet. Hopefully we will have an answer for you. All right. Do you use headphones on the NeuroRemedy? Had to cough there. Sorry about that. Do you use headphones on the NeuroRemedy? You can. Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of using headphones on the NeuroRemedy. Sandra has a question here. Can the NeuroRemedy be used for long-distance clients? That's a good question. I don't see why not, because it really is converted to, it's converted back to sound, but in a different form, in quite a different form that's reaching on different levels. And you're creating it as an affirmation. It's sort of like radionics. You're sort of creating a command in some ways for the body, which is really, really powerful when converted to these frequencies. Is it better to have the headphones Is it better to use headphones with the newer remedy or geos? Sort of a common question. I like the headphones. Why do you think about the geos being better? That's interesting. I'd like to know that. I went back to the libraries. It will not add them. I added 4 or 5 from the libraries, went back to the system overview. I tap on libraries. It will not open. Okay, so we still have issues with the libraries. I sent in a request today to have a toggle switch to switch the libraries back and forth between number order and alphabetical order. All right, I sent in a request to have a toggle switch to flip the libraries from back and forth between number order and alphabetical order. That's a really good idea, Dolores. That's genius, actually. Genius for the genius. That will be difficult to choose custom panels first because I choose those based on what initially comes, just my thought. Again, I totally agree. You know, we're trying to do new innovations with the Genius. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we think a new process will really be, you know, awesome sauce, and sometimes we have to just sort of say, meh, you know, maybe the old system was better in that particular aspect. Can you go over adding libraries before the scan, and where do you find the system overview? Okay, so the system overview is going to be right here, Sharon. When you come in, you see system overview. That allows you to look at mind, body, or here it says biofield or energy field, and then the custom libraries. So then that's the system overview is always going to be right here. It sort of toggles itself. If you tap it, it becomes the general overview. And so that might be confusing you a little bit. There's that parasites and heart food addiction, boron. I don't know, it literally seems like a ghost. I don't know where it's coming from, Ryan. It's so strange. Okay, I don't know. Nobody else has said that they had that little weird thing going on. Okay, so moving on. Then she says adding the libraries before the scan. So the basic thing for adding a library is supposed to be going here before you get started with the client, which I know that could be cumbersome because you don't know what you want to add. Then add to the client. And then you select through this list, you go through the list, and then bones, anatomy, foot, then you add it. It says 0 because, again, I think for this client I've added everything already. Patricia says, but do you lose your results of previous client when you switch? Do you lose your results of the previous client when you switch? I don't know what that means. Are you posting these webinars on your website? I definitely will be, but the place to look for them is on my YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and put in my name, Ariel Policano, and you will see every single YouTube video has been recorded. Can you do sessions on pregnant women and babies? Absolutely. Yeah, just you know, use some common sense, you know, maybe just don't do very long sessions, but yeah, absolutely. So Ryan says the biggest challenge with the libraries currently is that they are dynamic and cloud-based, and until we get the app completely offline and online, we're limited. So this is all in process, though. So Ryan's really doggedly determined to get that right, and so he's working on it. And you know, he'll definitely figure all of that out. I'm thinking of using the geos to put good, healthy heartbeat, one's person chest to entrain good person's heart, but I'm hesitant. Well, if you're hesitant, then that's your intuition talking to you. But I think you could create a great neuro remedy and don't put it on the heart. Put it on their wrist instead. So that way you're not really right on the heart in a way that's making you nervous or concerned. Let's turn that volume down. Okay, general overview, tap it, okay, thanks. Yeah, so tap it in order to switch. Right, that's the toggle, and then it's the back button to go back to system overview, and then general overview and general overview again to switch from top to bottom. Fantastic feature. I also have strange custom files show up when I go back to system overview. So Ryan, again, not just me, some other people, really, really odd. I mean, it reminds me of like when a surgeon does surgery and they accidentally leave a little pad in there or something, or like it feels like there's a little bit of code somewhere in there that is like a little bad boy of coding that we can't find. All right, so can you add libraries before the client if you don't have a picture or a voice? How can you add libraries to a client if you don't have a picture or a voice? Well, it works like this. Let's see if I can maybe one of my dogs, right? So let's go to one of my dogs here. So my dog Hutch, let's go ahead and hit Start New Analysis. Let's skip here and skip here. Cancel. Let's go up to the nav bar. And now I can go to libraries, right? So I have to do it first. Let's just see what's pretty easy to do. Just maybe I have to do it this way. So add it to client, and then let's just do adrenal assessment or adrenal practices, doesn't matter. So I think this is going to say 2 out of 2 because I hadn't added anything for him. So it did add those 2. Now let's see what happens when I go back here. It actually is here. So you actually don't need to go out of the program. So let's see what happens when I do the full scan for him. And let's see if it in fact embodies those. And Ryan, I still didn't hear how to turn the animation off. So right now it looks like the animation here at System Overview is off, but how do I turn it off in the rest of the program? I didn't see that. If you can maybe either text it or send it to me. Okay, now I don't know what is going on here. I must have added these previously. So here's adrenal practices and adrenal assessment. So Sandy, to answer your question, they don't need to be turned up. You know, that you don't need to go back to the beginning. You did originally, but now you don't. They're right here. And you can scan all of them instantly without having to go back out. Okay, so that's great. Also, you know, more things that have been taken care of. When you go from one person to another, you have to go out of the program, and the program says you'll lose the results of the person that you're working on. Yes, well, you're gonna lose those results in that moment. So when it says you're going to lose the results, right, you're going to lose those results in that moment. However, because you're connected to the internet at this point, or when you reconnect to the internet, they will then be backed up to the cloud. So I can understand how you'd be confused by that. Can you do sessions with people with transplanted organs? Of course, yes. You know, this isn't like supplemental medicine or anything. So even though we know that the Beamer mat says you can't, you know, use this on, you can't use the mat on people with transplanted organs because they have their immunosuppression and so forth. You know, this is energy medicine. So again, use caution. It does have real effects, but they're very subtle effects. And the body usually won't accept the energy that it does not need. How do we remove an item in the library that no longer applies to them? I think that that's a, let's go back to the dog here. All right, skip it, cancel, go into the libraries, and let's go right to it. All right, so we don't want to have something testing for this person anymore. So I believe this is just a, oh, I thought this was just right. I thought this was just a pull it to the left and you delete it. So what am I missing here? I don't know why that isn't. You should be able to just pull this to the left and delete it. So I'm not really sure what it is that I'm missing there. It's up here, right at the top here. I see what you have to do. Okay. So again, a bit of a cumbersome process here. We have a minus sign up at the top. So now what we need to do is hit the minus sign, and then it will delete. See, the minus sign is up at the top. And now it will remove the liver practices. So you see liver practices is gone. Let's do it again. Let's do it again for the digestive panel. So now we'll remove the digestive panel, and now it's off. Okay? Susan, did that help? Did that help to clarify what it is? Top right-hand corner on each animation, there is a small... So Ryan, I know exactly you know, how to turn off those individual animations. We've talked about it sort of, you know, a bit of time in class, but actually what I thought you were talking about, and no worries, I'm sure it'll come in the future, or if not, it won't. But of course, we've talked about this button as being a turn off for the animations, but we're just wondering if you turn it off once, will that turn it off now permanently? Or is there a way if you turn it off once, you could have it turned off? So now, if it now, see, because if somebody's turned it off once, they probably sort of want it off permanently. And or is there a button that we could push that would just default it to be always off? Both of those or either of those would be awesome. Okay, so let's keep moving along here. You guys have great questions. I love it. Okay, I guess I don't get it, says Sandy. Number one, it is a new client. We can prepare the libraries before, but don't we get to take their picture and voice attached to it? Not too sure if I'm making sense. So yeah, I think I answered that, because you can go in there and but you could have still added the libraries before a session, and then you go back in and you take their picture and voice. I don't know why you would need to have their picture and voice in order to add something to the library. You can basically add the library to the client before they come in, and then when you're testing them, you will have their picture and voice in real time. No, there was a little delete red button at the top right just before the scan. Okay, we covered that. I think that was before the scan. Use the red. We did that. Okay. Can you restart a session, pick up where you left off at a later time? Ryan, that's a question for you. So I don't know if you go back to the past results, if you can restart a session. Janet, just on the concept of that, I don't think you really want to do that, because everything is changing in your energy field, and truly the best way to do that is really to record a new voice and picture, because when you come back the next day, you're in a different state, and you really do want to start from the beginning. So I'm not sure that that would have a huge amount of value. We will also have an off default. Thanks. All right, I'm not sure what all these answers are for, but thanks, Ryan. I mean, Ryan has been very busy, and we really don't know how he actually does it. I don't know how many there are that many hours in a day, but he's really made refinements to the program in a very, very fast order, ones that have been excellent and continue to make the program just better and better and more fun to use. So that's been really, really great. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you guys are out of questions. You had rapid fire, awesome, fantastic questions. So thank you, you guys, and keep those questions coming. Rita, our lovely Rita joining us. Rita M., thank you for being here. And Steve, hey, welcome. Hey, Dr. Doug is on. That is awesome. Welcome, Doug. Carol's here. Hey, Carol, good to have you joining us. All right, so more questions, this is a great time for more questions or any feedback that you want to share about using your program. I know that like Dr. Doug does a lot of work with the meridians, and he'll have the person getting acupuncture at the same time that he's actually running the meridians of the body. So that's a really cool way to go to use the program. So I love that. I think it's a really great service to give to the people that you're working with. So it's taken a little bit more time here to sort of download, and we just hit that animation button off, and then we have the meridians down here, so we can scan all the meridians, which is an amazing function also. And so again, I'm just going to go ahead and that top right button, just turn off that animation there. And we can see all the meridians here. And of course, we can then take those meridians, tap on the meridians, and we go to actually all of the acupuncture points. So now Doug can kind of compare notes with what he knows cognitively about Chinese medicine, and then sort of come to some interesting conclusions based on the particular points that are coming up for his client. So just really fun way to see this being worked out in practice. Do you have custom panel instructions on the previous webinar, and which one? Well, we are working on a full training program, Sharon, so hold tight and we'll have all of those instructions. For something like that, a request where you can't find it on the YouTube channel, then do me a favor, just send me an email and I will get the right video to you. Is the reporting changed yet so we can get a full report instead of just the 3 main areas? Which report are you talking about? Susan, let me know and I will find out for you. I'm not really sure which report function you're referring to, so give me some more feedback on that. What happens when you accidentally do a session on a person undergoing a medical procedure like MRI? What happens when you accidentally do a session on a person undergoing a medical procedure? I don't think anything bad happens. This is, again, it's energy medicine. Have you heard that somebody's experienced something weird from receiving a session while they were having an MRI? I don't know, but there's nothing really negative that can happen to them. I haven't set up libraries. Can I select all for myself? Yes, but at least you should email me. You won't have all those custom libraries, so we should talk about how to get some of them to you. So shoot me an email and we can talk about it. How do you bring up the MEP? Thanks, Teresa. Okay, so the MEP is now the DMP. I'm sure this could be a rap song, taking the MEP to the DMP to the LED to the who knows, right? So go up to your nav bar and go ahead and go to the extra modules, which is 1, 2, 3 down. When you go to extra modules, you're going to see the dynamic mirroring phase. Awesome that Ryan put the initials that the DMP stands for, and it basically is your MEP in a new iteration. So same great function with a new and fresh name. Go ahead, and before we go there, of course, the trick is that you have to have items in your quick zap already that you want to sort of do that type of balancing to, and you have to have items in your main hold tray. So before you go in there, and again, we're taking feedback. If you don't like the way that this is and you want to see this function actually on the face or of the program at the front or somewhere that's easier to access, then email us. Email Ryan, rw@quantumhealthapps.com. I'll put his email here, or email me. You guys all know how to get in touch with me. And, we'd love to hear your feedback. There's also a forum now. So it's quantumhealthapps.com/forum. Let me send that to everyone. So if you want to check into the forum and see what people are saying or add your voice to that, we certainly would love to hear from you. This is community shaped because you are the users out there experiencing it every day, and we want to make this an enjoyable and positive experience, and your feedback is important. So I'm going to go to the upper right here to the nav bar. I'm going to go back to that 1, 2, 3, the extra modules. I'm going to go to the DMP, the dynamic mirroring phase. Now, Ryan has added this extra feature which sort of enhances what's going on in the DMP with just give it one word that you want to focus on, so it adds sort of like a nice emotion that sort of makes the process even more effective. Then we could set it for maybe 4 minutes, which is a kind of a short session. And I guess I think what we really do need here, Ryan, is I think we need those previous screens to be brought in here. I think what we really need to see is what is in our main hold tray, what is in our quick zap, and we need to see how many minutes we had set those for. Otherwise, you get in here and you're just scratching your head, gosh golly, I wonder how many minutes I left the quick zap on. I wonder how many minutes I left that on. And also we need if we can have a set switch in here. If it's going to be back here, we should have some flexibility right here, because now what we'd like to do is to be able to switch those minutes that each tray is set for. And if you guys agree with that, give me some feedback in the chat box there. So here we have to go all the way back here now, and we have to change our timer to be that 1 minute, and we have to now change the timer here to be a minute. And then we'll close that tray, and now we have to go back to the nav bar, back to the extra modules, back to the DMP, and put in our emotion again, and now we can set that timer. So if we set it for 8 minutes. The other thing that was really nice is it seems like what we could do is we could see the rectification in each of those trays, and now we only see a full rectification at the end. When we were seeing both trays, we were able to see the rectification right after the first cycle at the top, and then what we were rectifying, and that really gave us some understanding of how powerful the dynamic mirroring phase was. So again, would love to see the main hold tray here and the quick zap here, where they actually could be adjusted in real time back here. This would make this a whole heck of a lot more usable. Okay, how do we go to the past the picture if I don't want to take one at the time? How do we go past the picture if I don't want to take one at the time? So Sandy, all you do is you just hit the skip at the right. If you look at your lower right screen, we could just shoot right back there. So if you're at the beginning of a session, we could go all the way back here, right? And then you bring up the client. Let's go back to the dog here. And so we could maybe get him to bark, whatever. We don't want to take his picture. We just hit skip. Skip is right down here at the bottom right. Okay. It would be most helpful to be able to reopen a session and pick up where you left off. So this is back to Annette. Okay, thank you, Annette, for your feedback. Sometimes the program quits out. I've had to start all over with a client when my program quit out while I was running frequencies. Okay, so well, if it crashed, you probably wouldn't be able to go back where you left off anyway. So we'd love to know about your crash reports. I personally have not had any crashes on my iPad Air 2 or a Galaxy Tab A. Have not had any crashes, so please let us know what device is crashing so we can help you. The other thing you need to know, Annette, is you absolutely must be updated to the latest version of iOS or the latest version that's running on your Android device in terms of your operating system. If those two things are not in place, or if the thing on each one, if you don't have the latest operating system on your respective device, you are certainly going to have crashes. So please help us by making sure that's updated. If you're still crashing, send that information to me. And again, that's feedback to Ryan to see if he could actually have it pick up at a last session. I don't know if it could. I don't know that that functionality is that helpful, but we certainly hear you, and if it's only because of the crashing, then we'd want to take care of the crash issue. Okay, Sandy says, I found the skip. Don't answer that. Okay, we already answered it. No worries. My Genius works better since the new download minus the 3D, but it still shuts off at, so Ginger took the 3D off. She likes that better, but now it still shuts off at odd times. So again, Ginger, I'd pose the same question to you. Are you completely updated on your operating system? Also, is your internet pretty steady, or is it choppy? If you're still having crash issues, then please email either myself or Ryan so that we can really understand what's going on. I have not had a lot of crashes, so I just have not heard that. Will Ryan be going deeper on each meridian point in terms of a description of the issue? Question for Ryan, I don't know. That's something that certainly you were able to see with the past, so I assume that he's probably going to add that in at some point. Do you have a beamer panel? Sandy, shoot that email to me so I can create one for those of us who use and distribute the beamer. When you click on the report, the only thing I get is the body, the mind, and biofield, but no details. What am I missing? I don't even know where the report is, so I apologize. So I don't actually, I do know a lot of the features, and I have been developing a training program, but I apologize. So if you guys, is it in settings? That would be the obvious place where you would find it, would be in settings. So that would be email the report. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so this is going to give us, let's take a look at these. We've got the body, the biofield, the mind, and the libraries, so that looks good. Now again, this is a little bit tricky. Now we have to go back to the screen that we want to send the report on. So let's run something here like food sensitivities. I have to do the whole analysis first. So let's do that, and let's go to food sensitivities. I actually did know where the reports were. They're in the settings. So I take that back. Okay, so now we want to send this report. So let's now go to our settings, and let's see what's going on here. Let's go to email the report, and let's see what comes up. All right, so we've got the body and the mind. Then it shows us the second scan, and then it shows us the third scan. So it sort of selectively takes all the scans without us deciding which one we want. So there's that. But so it does send everything though, Susan. So I don't know if is that not what you're finding? Let me know if that's not what you're finding. It does look pretty complete. Print page. I've never done this. So let's see. That is actually, there's page 1. Okay, I see what you're talking about. So in the printer, it looks like maybe this isn't exactly where it needs to be. When you go to print, it is only selecting the first system overview. So I definitely see your point. For right now, Susan, go ahead and use the email report instead of the print report, and let's find out from Ryan what's going on with the print report. Let me just make a note of that here. All right. If I do a scan on each of the 4 categories, this is from Sandra, mind, body, libraries, and biofield, and take the top and the bottoms off of each, dragging them into the lower tray, and do an analysis. Will it work like the system overview? If I scan each of the 4 categories, mind, body, libraries, biofield, and then take the top and the bottom items off of each, dragging them into the lower tray, will it work like the system overview? I think you might be asking if it's going to work like the general overview. And what I did say to Ryan, what I recommended that would be really cool is that we do have this great, Sandra, maybe you can clarify your question. It sounds like you're saying if you do the mind, body, and libraries and so forth individually and put them all down in the lower trays, that's sort of like doing a general overview. But one thing I did request from Ryan, you guys can give me feedback if you like this idea, is when you're in the general overview, if you can actually eliminate some things from the general overview. So sometimes for me there's so many meridians in there that I actually just want to take the meridians out. And so I'd love to be able to just sort of pull, this is weird, I don't know why the chakras are listed individually down here. Okay, all the things in the items are there. Duh. Okay, so then all the categories, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'd love to be able to just take some of these and just pull them to the left and delete them because I want to leave them out of my full matrix scan because I only want to focus on certain items. So that would be a fantastic feature to have. If you're asking that question, then yes, I think you're going to approximate the matrix overview and basically do what I was talking about, which is you're going to be able to individualize it for the things that you want to test for. And certainly when you put those items then down into the main hold tray, then you're going to take them all into your progressive insights where you're going to drill them all down again and then ask if they are, important. Or which of these really is the most important. And somebody sent me a question right before the class started, and they said when you're in progressive insights and you get something that is medium or low, does that mean that it's not important? No, it does not mean that it's not important. That's a really good question, though. So why is it medium or low? It's definitely of lower priority. You're sort of drilling the information down again and asking of the things that we tested what really is the most important. And like I said last time, that all good bioresonance technologies have that way to sort of retest and see if the information that's coming up really is accurate. It does mean that in this particular analysis that these items are of less importance. So it's sort of like the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the things that you do on your to-do list will really take you probably to 80% of what you really need to get done. So regarding everything that you need to balance to make your body better, there's a better chance that balancing these high priority items is going to get you where you want to go. After all, you are a holistic mechanism. I mean, there's not one piece that you can separate from another piece. So everything that you're balancing is going to affect every other part. It's just in this particular algorithmic analysis, in this particular view, how we're looking at this says, yeah, if we sort of, get our love vibration up a little bit, and I'm not sure what's going on with those metallic implants, Ryan. I must talk to you outside of this webinar and ask you about those. And we focus on eliminating tomatoes, and we cleanse the large intestine, or whatever it is. We run these balancing frequencies for these particular items. This is where we need the resonance the most. This will have the highest impact. But it does not really say in particular that these items are not important. I still would recommend you sort of glance at them, look at them, consider them, and certainly in the cycling of the frequencies, you're getting much more emphasis on these high items and much less on the low items, even without taking the time to uncheck the low and medium items. Will there be anything that shows the meridian or acupuncture points that relates to the physicality? I mean, let me just make a general comment about this. Those things would be good, but the program is not meant to be an entire repertoire or a case or a teaching in Chinese medicine. So please keep that in mind, that your best resource for that is your own investigation, to look online and find out what these meridians mean. I definitely will talk to Ryan about the possibility of adding that in the future, but that sure is a heck of a lot of information, almost that could go on in, infinitely. So this isn't meant to be sort of a mini naturopathic, college or Chinese medicine education, but those things are good to investigate and look at. And I'll certainly talk to Ryan about the possibility of adding some of those things on in the future. The dynamic mirroring function on the front would be helpful. How do you bring up the MEP? The MEP is now called the DMP. We have 3 minutes left. Let me just show it to you one more time. You go to your nav bar, you go down to the extra modules, and you go to the DMP, which is the dynamic mirroring. It won't actually let me go in because I don't have things in my different, actually I think that's wrong where it says that, Ryan. To activate the multi-element phaser, the DMP, make sure that it says actually here multi-layer and balance RX, Ryan, so you probably want to change that. It needs to say quick zap and main hold tray, so it's using the old language in that prompt. Okay, aura is looking different and expanded here. Any specific thing specific to read in the aura of the genius? I love that you guys came with all of your questions today. Like, your questions are absolutely fantastic. This video is going to be uploaded right after we're finished to YouTube, so go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it will be uploaded as soon as I can process the recording, because there was so much good information on here, and I thank you for your excellent, excellent questions. So I'm not even going close to where I need to go. I need to go down to Biofield, which is somewhere in here, and we go to Aura. We need to have some things down in the made whole tray to take with us in here, and we're gonna, no, not meridians, aura. Okay, there we go. All right, so begin the analysis. Let's try 1 minute here. And so it is balancing using the items in the main hold tray, which unfortunately we cannot seem to, let me just stop this for a second. Can we view them? Okay, we can't view, it seems, what's in there. Also, once again, it's bringing up the wrong picture, so we're pulling in somebody else's picture into the aura, so these are bugs still to be worked out. The DMP, yes, I agree. I'm not using it because I can't see what is running and for how long, so I got a completely, this isn't my dog, believe it or not, completely different person's picture in there. We do have a pretty fuzzy aura. It looks like my dog needs a nice aura cleansing. There's a lot of sort of gray and black, not black, but brown in there. So you'd run this for a minute, and I'm not sure what the question was. What was the question originally? Eli says the aura is looking different and expanded. Anything specific to read the aura in the genius? Okay, this will be in the manual that Ryan is working on, a manual. This will be in the manual. Totally agree with the issues on the DMP. See the timing set in both trays, and the DMP sounds great. By the way, I have lots of crashes with an older iPad with the latest iOS. Thank you, Sharon. Doug says, I scanned my cat to get her voice analysis. I held her food above her to get her meowing. You held that food for ransom to get her voice frequency, huh? I got a lot of digestive signs. Yeah, scanning animals is absolutely fantastic. And you do get a lot of really cool information. I mean, I've worked on my dog, my cat. They both, before they were older, but they passed away. But boy, I got a lot of great information working on these dogs now and the new cat and everything. You do get a lot of really, really relevant information. So I thought, Ryan, I apologize, but I thought we should get a new scan bar here. So I thought we would be able to scan this again. I thought we would get a new prompt for another scan here at the end of a minute. So maybe you can help me with what's going on there. My Apple 6 Plus cell phone crashes a couple of times a day with the Genius. Mine crashes all the time, says Susan. I lose things constantly. I've updated all software. It would be helpful to be able to go back to where I left off in where it crashed. So you're in the Annette S camp. I love it. We lost Annette. I hope I didn't upset her. Okay, Ryan knows I have this problem. No answers. maybe need a new iPad, but it's only 2 years old. It should work on every iPad unless it's like the iPad first generation. Brian says works in progress. What does it mean when the libraries show a low number? Okay, wow, we got a lot of other questions here. So what I'm going to do, it's 5:01, so I'm going to actually end the class now and bring your questions back. There were a lot of questions, a lot of issues brought up. I really appreciate it. Come back next week. We'll continue to look at them. You guys, I could really use some testimonials. If you have some positive testimonials of anything you're discovering, certainly myself and Ryan would like to be able to share those with people. If there's something positive that you've discovered using the Genius, please just send me 3 sentences of your experience with your maybe name and for the initial of your last name. I'll be back here next week, Monday, and go ahead and send me email, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. I also had sent you Ryan's email, and you have the information for the forum as well. We really appreciate everything that you're doing to help us to make the Genius better. I hope you're enjoying using it. I certainly am. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Take care for now, and be well. Bye-bye.